Yeah. Yeah, you
I'd like
should.
to open the planning board meeting July 1st, 2026. First on our agenda is the approval of the minutes on June 17th.
Let's pause and have the board vote to have you appointed as the acting chair this evening,
Okay,
just like we did in the past.
Yeah. I move that we appoint Earl
Second.
As acting chair for tonight.
just for tonight.
I'll second.
I could decline.
Yeah, would not vote on. Yeah, I'm gonna abstain. Okay,
All in favor?
all right, so Earl's the chair for tonight. Congratulations.
So approval of the minutes for June 17th. We had a chance to look at them. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? That's approved. First on our agenda is the Shaw Special Use from
The bad connection.
Sue, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. I didn't hear exactly what you said, though. You cut in and out. It's bad connection.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Great. Okay, good.
Would you like to give us a proposal, what you're intending to do?
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. Mr. Chairman and the members of the board. My name is Susan Schaff. I reside at 50 Buggy Whip Trail, and I'm the owner of Champion Springs Farm. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the time you spent reviewing my application and supporting documents, and also a special thanks to those who have helped me guide me through this process. I'm here tonight to request approval for my application for special use report permit, specifically requesting that I am approved to board horses in my 6-stall stable barn, as well as permit the public to utilize the cross-country course and indoor arena. If I may, I'd like to give you a little history. 5 years ago, I purchased this farm in a transitional period in my life. It was formerly known as Black Points Farm, owned by Mary Delton, who I'm sure some of you remember. Mary was a horse enthusiast, breeder, competitor, and loved the thrill of cross-country competition. She enlisted the help of John Williams, an upper-level eventer, to design the course. John was a neighbor and was the first person to offer clinics at the farm. Mary eventually opened the cross-country farm up to for cross-country schooling to local trainers. The farm also became the home to Bristol Hills Pony Club. They've been there a long time. Ann Eilerner was very involved in that, and also a good friend of mine and mentor on the farm. This farm has been operational since 1980 until Mary left in, I think, approximately 2019. That's 39 years operating this horse farm in this district on this street using the same entrance. 5 years ago, I purchased the farm. I fell in love with it. I had no plans to change it, and I still feel that way today. But I do want to preserve it and the historical importance to the equestrians who I've come to know and who have used this course over the years. I've had several people approach me asking, when will it become available again? And also thanking me for not building houses and having a developer come in. I was not a horse person when I purchased this farm, but I'm becoming one. I'm learning to ride. I have grandchildren in the area who also now own a pony at my place. It's one of very few farms to provide a cross-country course for experienced riders. They exercise, they enjoy its beauty and their history, and they appreciate it very much. My proposal is to continue what Mary started, but on a more modest scale. I'm not interested in making it any bigger, bringing in events. I'm committed to keeping the numbers low. Um, Maintaining the property in a very responsible way, managing it, and while respecting all my neighbors. I have great neighbors. I really do. And I'm understanding now that they do have some concerns about this, and I'm more than happy to fine tune this and answer any questions or concerns that they may have. Much work has been done on this farm since I purchased it. I've widened the driveway with the guidance of Corey Gates to make sure that it's up to code and horse trailers can come in as well as emergency vehicles. I've enlarged my parking lot. I have ample room for lots of trailers. However, my plan is to limit it to 1 to 3. 1 to 3, I think is reasonable, and some trailers, as we know, will hold 2 horses, many 1. So I think 1 to 3 is reasonable. I've purchased farm equipment to keep the property going, have it looking good, mow the lawn, weed whacking. I have a post hole digger, a skid steer. I do not have a tractor, which I'd love to have, but I don't have one right now. I also understand that this is going to be a concern for some of my neighbors. It's been a little quiet since Mary left. But it's important to me to maintain this in the manner in which it was developed. And that was thoughtfully. It's important to note, I think, that I live in Mendon Township RA5 district, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that means that there is agricultural living next door to residential. And I understand that that's going to present some challenges for some people and some fears. And I'm hoping tonight that I can answer some of those questions and alleviate some of those fears. Nothing is going to change on this farm except I hope for it to be smaller and manageable. I'm not a young kid anymore. This is a big thing for me to be undertaking. And again, I want to keep it small and intimate. And some of the language in the application I need to address because I think it's got some people a little riled up. But I understand the challenges, and I want to be a good neighbor and respect my neighbors. I'd also in closing, I'd just like to thank you for your time and your consideration and this opportunity to be heard, and also to listen. So if anyone has any questions, feel free, shoot away.
Does anyone on the board have some questions for her?
I do. I'm just, it's probably a very basic question, but I'm just wondering, I've driven around over on Buggy Whip, and I know you have access on Parish. What is the feasibility of having your entrance strictly be Parish Road?
That's a good question. And actually, I have researched that 1.5 years ago with Corey Gates. There was some discrepancy over whether my portion of Parish Road, where my property is, was a county issue or whether it was a town. We discovered it is a town, I believe, issue. That at the present time, that entrance is not safe for any tractor to come through. It's very narrow. It is going to require a tremendous amount of work. It has to be widened, like my driveway was just widened, to have two-way traffic for emergency vehicles. And then on top of that, an extra 10 feet on both sides, which might interfere with my neighbor next door. And then on the reverse side, there's a bank there, which that would have to be built up. Drainage has to be put in. Financially, that would be an extreme burden for me at this time. But aside from that, I want to say that it's not ideal because the cross-country course doesn't start down there. The cross-country starts up just past the barns. It was designed in a way that riders would come in, they would park their vehicles, they would unload, they would tack, and they would converse and they'd get ready and they'd talk to me or someone who's there. This is the way I envision it, that this would be an opportunity for me to meet them and to set them in the right direction or answer any questions that they might have. So I consider that sort of my little office area. And then also I have a restroom there. I also have running water there. If someone is in need of using the stable barn to tack up, if they have a horse that's not feeling well or is out of control or something, they're able to use that. So it's a good start. And then once they mount their horses, they can go down along the paddock, which is in the woods, which is lovely. On the right-hand side, there's a pond. It's pretty. But right to the right of that, right to the right of the pond, that's where the jumps begin. They start there. There are actually 4 jumps leading down along the pastures, that's where they head in. That's the start. And then they get down to the cross-country course. If they were to get down there and a horse overheated, there would be no running water down there. They'd have to come back this way anyways. And to put water down there would be another gigantic expense for me. I think it works well the way it is. I understand that some of the neighbors are, worried about the traffic. That's something I really want to cover tonight. But honestly, it's not going to be any different than it's ever been, except there'll be less traffic than there was before. That I can assure you of that. I know some of the concerns are parking on the street. None of my friends that have ever been there have ever parked on the street. The cul-de-sac.
There would be
I'm
no
sorry?
parking in the there would be no parking in the cul-de-sac.
Absolutely not. And there's no need for that. So I'm not sure where that's coming from because it's not necessary. My driveway is perfectly fine for them to come in and exit. They come in and they exit. There's no need for the cul-de-sac. I would not have trailers that big. I mean, a 1-horse trailer with a truck can easily handle that turn going either way. But there's no reason to go past my farm to the cul-de-sac. Absolutely none. And I understand there are children down there. I don't want anybody down there. I have grandchildren of my own. So I totally understand that concern. But back to the other entrance, I would invite you to go check it out if you're interested. Anytime, go take a look. It really is not safe right now for anything to go through there but my 4-wheeler.
You mentioned
that-
that you were, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned
Okay.
you would have, that you would like to limit the trailers to 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
Is that per day, per week? 1 to 3, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, well, that's a hard question to answer because it doesn't mean that every day I'm going to have 3 customers. I might have 1, I might have 2, I might have 3. It depends on work schedule. A lot would, I think, depend on when events are taking place because I think, from what I understand, most people came there to practice for events, and events are generally on the weekend. So I'm looking at the possibility of 1, but also the ability to have 3. If I have a group of 3 riders or 1 trailer has 2 horses and the other 2 have just 1, and it also depends on the weather. I mean, so much depends on the weather in this business. You can't depend on what day people are going to come because it may rain. And then when it rains, then you have 2 or 3 days where they can't use the course because it's wet and it's dangerous. So does that answer your question? I don't know if I
Yeah, so
got
it
off
sounds
topic there.
maximum of 3 per day, is what you're thinking possibly, dependent on.
At the top,
Yeah.
yes.
All right,
I'm
and,
not anticipating that, honestly, but I would like to be able to know that that's possible.
and then one other thing, you said that the operations will be similar to what they are now, but smaller?
Similar to in terms of using the cross-country course and the indoor arena, that I would like to remain the same. As what Mary had done previously. I would like to keep that intact. My indoor barn is not heated, and quite frankly, I don't like being in there in the dead of winter. I will lunge my horses in there, but I don't generally ride. I just go in and they get the exercise they need. Or I also have a friend who has been helping me recently you know, lunging them. I was not to get off topic, but I was in a really serious car accident in April. And I'm unable to do a lot of things on the farm right now. So I do have a young gal that comes and uses the arena and for my horses and lunges them. But in the wintertime, nobody wants to go in there. It's too cold. So I don't anticipate an influx of people in the wintertime.
Susan, I have a question. On your
Sure.
application, you state that you're gonna have 20 people max at the location at one time. It sort of sounds like
Yeah,
it's not gonna be that much anymore.
yeah, that's not very clear. And my apologies for that. That is not exactly what we meant to say. I had an attorney, full disclosure, help me with this application. The 20 people, so if I have 4 riders there, 4 riders, that's 4 people. If I have 6 boarders, that's 10 people. If I have myself, my brother, who is my right arm on the farm, we basically run it together. That's 2 more people. Any other person that would be there would be an employee that's working on the farm, emptying the manure bunker, mowing lawns, digging post holes. So I will have other people on the property, but they will not necessarily be riders. So I think that's where that number 20 came in, but I'm not implying by any means that I would ever have 20 trailers or 20 riders at the same time. I'm talking 4 trailers and 4 riders.
3 trailers? 3 trailers or 4?
1 to 3. Did I say 4? I meant 1 to 3.
All right.
Didn't I say 1 to 3?
Yeah,
That's
you
what I
did
said.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I misspoke.
And how many horses for boarding are you anticipating?
Right now 6, but I actually have the acreage for many more, but to go back to my original statement, I want this to be modest. I don't want the responsibility of that much traffic and that many horses and then those many trainers. That's getting too big. I don't really want to do that. I have no plans to do that. At the present time, I'm thinking 6, maybe 8, but right now 6 is the perfect number. I have 6 stalls and that works.
I just want to say that I appreciate the legacy that this site and that you kind of detailed that for us to show, you know, there is some history with horses on the property and I appreciate that. Do you have any idea how many horses were on the property or how much activity was on the property before you came to own it?
I didn't know Mary before I owned it, so I can't speak 100%. But I do know that there were clinics often on the property and there was a lot of cross-country traffic. She was a horse breeder, so she had horses. She did have some horses on the property boarding, but primarily the horses that she had were her own, with the exception of the use of the cross-country course, which was very popular. And I have people, like I said, I have people calling, asking when are we gonna be able to do this again? Because people love this course. They absolutely love this course. They'd love to be able to utilize it again.
So you're not promoting any lessons?
I am not giving any lessons. I am not promoting, let me just go back to a couple notes that I took on that. I will not be, yeah, hold on 1 second. Forgive me. No lessons, absolutely no lessons. I'm not interested in camps for kids. I will not be doing that. I will not be doing pony rides and I will not be doing clinics. What I proposed is exactly what I proposed. Use of the cross-country course within limitations and also the indoor arena and boarding.
At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. Please address the board only and keep your comments to 3 minutes. The first. And state your name and address.
My name is Andy Vaughn. I live at 357 Landing Road, which is, I have an 1,100-foot property line that I share with my neighbor, with the applicant. I've been there 31 years. I spent 4 years on the ECB, 2 of them as the chair. I understand the work that you guys are doing. I want to start with my experience and observations about the applicant because these are salient to the way that she's presenting these things and the way that she operates. My first encounter with them was they trespassed on my property to post posted signs, one of them 20 feet on my property, which was kind of ridiculous. They started construction of a house before they had a permit. They continued construction after it expired. They continue now. I understand why I continually hear earth moving equipment and the beep, beep, beep of things backing up, because she's been making these improvements in anticipation of getting this approved. It is amazing. She's turned a very quiet neighborhood. And I was 31 years. I spent a lot of time with Mary. I understand exactly what that facility supported in the past. I almost never heard anyone on that cross-country course, and I can hear everything from my deck. In fact, she was giving lessons. I have video of her, someone giving lessons the other day. So she is giving lessons. There was someone there yelling and coaching someone, 2 people on horses. So that is happening already. Crazy amount of noise. Eric also had talked about her brother, had talked about repurposing a facility there. He said, it's just for my use. It is a commercial space that's already operating. If you go to Google Maps, you see it right there, and he's hosting workshops there. So they're not really respecting the rules that are in place for everyone else. I want to make that very clear. And I don't believe that they're equipped to really manage the animals because their animals constantly get loose. I had pictures of their dogs on my property last week. The horses have been loose in the neighborhood. And it's attributed to, well, someone accidentally left the gate open. Well, how many times does somebody accidentally do that? There are some misrepresentations on the application, not least of which is traffic. There was not that much traffic when Mary was there. 31 years that I was exposed to that. There was not that much traffic. The amount of traffic that she's talking about is going to be absolutely higher than what she is representing. We are in a very rural residential neighborhood. People walk those streets, people bike on those streets. Having people that aren't familiar with that neighborhood driving through there with trucks and trailers and all that kind of stuff is a hazard. And you're going to hear, I think, other people talking about that. I think we all bought in that neighborhood to enjoy the quiet and the serenity, and that's been taken from us already. If you allow this to go forward, it's going to get much, much worse. It's going to affect not only our value of life, but also our peace of mind, but also the value of the properties, because we're going to be surrounded by a commercial enterprise in a residential neighborhood. Every other stable in Mendon is located on a major road, not on a buggy whip dead end cul-de-sac. She's misrepresenting the traffic. It's also, there's some things that she's also said about property is screened. It is not screened. I can see, even with the leaves on the trees, I can see the property all, so it's not screened. That's a misrepresentation. There are certain violations according to the code that she would have to rectify, not least of which is her riding arena outside is less than 50 feet from my property line. There is at least one horse trailer on there that does not look to me to be registered, and so that would be a violation. Exterior lighting is visible on my property. That would have to be done. The existing manure pile, I believe, is within 200 feet of my property line. I didn't even realize that was an issue, but I know where it is. I'm sure it's within 200 feet of my property. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that it's within 200 feet. And it also is right at the tributary to Irondequoit Creek. So it's very, very close to water. So essentially, this is going to destroy the quiet nature of the neighborhood. Pedestrian safety is an issue. There's a lot of families with young children walking around, biking, and all that kind of stuff. The roads are not meant to support that kind of traffic. The visibility is bad. If you've ever been on Buggy Whip, it is a windy, hilly road with no visibility whatsoever. The application, yep. So it'll adversely affect the quality of life in that neighborhood and the property values. So I would hope that you would not approve this special use permit.
Daniel Strollo, attorney, representing Bonnie and Larry Strollo, residents of 45 Buggy Whip Trail. I want to preliminarily for the record state that limiting the opposition to 3 minutes is arbitrary and capricious, such that any court reviewing this proceeding would take issue with that, given the length of time that Ms. Schaaf was able to lie to this committee. I want to talk about that. This committee should deny this right from the beginning because Ms. Schaaf's application is permeated with fraud. The your own form that you expect people to fill out accurately and under the penalty of perjury and swear to its truthfulness contains multiple lies. Not the least of which is that adjoining property owners, including my clients who are across the street, your form itself says you got to list people across the street. They're not listed. The Hotchkisses, they're not listed as next door neighbors. Do you know why? Because Ms. Schaaf's been nothing but a nightmare since the moment that she moved into this neighborhood. It's been problem after problem. Everything that Mr. Vaughn said is accurate, and there's plenty of people in this room who can attest to that. That's not an omission. That's not a mistake. That's a deliberate concealment so that the people here who know what's been going on in this neighborhood wouldn't be here to articulate those positions. As a former prosecutor and as a former special prosecutor, I have one word for that and one word only, and it's fraud. That's the only way to describe what she's describing in her application and what she tells you here. She tells you she wants a special use permit, but to do all this stuff that's not happening there, but the traffic's going to go down. You should all be insulted that she would think of your intelligence as so low as to believe that nonsense. Honesty is not an option before this committee. It's a requirement. And if you don't hold her to that, then why do we even have a town code? She also tells you that by her own admission, that the ingress and egress from Parish isn't safe. Well, if moving trailers on Parish Road that doesn't have hairpin turns like Buggy Whip is entirely made of, if that's not safe, and we'll take her at her word for that, it's the only thing I'll take her at her word for. If that's not safe, then it's sure as hell not safe to put that on Buggy Whip Trail. I also want to mention under Town Law 274B8, and considering the approval of a special use permit, this board has to comply with the State Environmental Quality Review Act. There's been much discussion about the manure, as well as the water issues, and as well as the traffic issues. She's put nothing in her application that actually addresses any of that, and her own admissions are contradictory. She says that she wants to make it a smaller operation, but that she's going to have more people there. And as an aside, if you were an investor, would you ever invest in the nonsense that we just heard? Because she tells you two things within the same breath and then sets you up for the next slide. She's required to submit an environmental impact study, and she has to bear the burden of that. And this board has to, as a threshold matter, determine whether an environmental impact study is necessary. And what you've heard so far dictates that. I want to address another regulatory observation here, and this is important. Town Code 26051C requires that one principal single-family dwelling be located on the parcel that's devoted to the use that she seeks. These are two parcels, even by, and I would say it's the only true thing in her application. There's two parcels here. There's the parcel that goes back to Parish. That's a 20.9 acre parcel, tax ID 230.02124. The application is filed under 50/54 Buggy Whip Trail. Not really sure what the story is there. She doesn't explain that. And that's the one that has the residential premises. That's owned by her individually. The property that backs up the Parish is owned by Buggy Whip LLC. She submitted no statement of identity. I don't know who owns Buggy Whip LLC. Maybe she owns part of it. Maybe somebody else owns some of it. What's going to happen when she wants to sell Buggy Whip LLC? And I want to finally say, she tells you what was going on when Mary Delton owned that. Everyone here remembers Mary Delton. She's explaining the prior use of that. And then she says later, I don't know what the prior use was. In closing, I want to ask that you continue to hold this open for public comments so that we can hear from the Highway Department and the Fire Department. Both of those departments have vested interests in being heard here. And finally, there's absolutely no way that any court will uphold the grant of this permit. We stand ready to litigate this all the way to the Court of Appeals. I'm a litigator by profession, and I'm going to do it. And similarly, I'll stand by this as an intervener if this board denies her application. Thank you.
Next. Please state your name.
Sure. I'm Susan Tribby, and I'm at 26 Buggy Whip Trail. And I know one of you said you had gone down, was that you had said it went down and looked at Buggy Whip, and I really appreciate you doing that because it is kind of a special road, and it does, not only does it have the whip, but it has like a very right arm turn that is actually where we live on that actual corner. And right now, driving in, when we pull into our driveway, it's really a blind turn right into our driveway. So additional traffic is a big concern of ours pulling into the street. And then also, I wanted to say that when Sue was talking, she talked about events that would be on the weekends. And I don't even know where that is described in the application, how big these events would be, how many people would be at these events. To me, that seems separate from what was being asked, and I'm not sure how all of that fits in. So if nothing else, I'd like to see the application be resubmitted, made clear, so we all know what exactly is being asked of us. But any additional traffic on Buggy Whip to me is dangerous.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I know not, I'm Jeannie Henderson, live on 300 Landing Road, or Landing Parish,
Your name and
Jeannie Henderson.
Okay.
So I've been there for almost 40 years. I know everybody here. I know nothing about all these other environmental things and things. I only think about the traffic, and it surprises me because Mary had a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic. I remember when she would have trailers parked up and down Buggy Whip, which was horrible. I mean, in the cul-de-sac, it was awful. And she did have a lot of people. She did for a while try to have them come up that Parish thing, because I come in that way sometimes to on horses, not on driving. And it is dangerous there. It's very narrow. I wouldn't pull my horse trailer in there for anything. But the traffic, it just surprises me that it would be that much, that it could be more when I think it needs more definition of what kind of events or what kind of groups. She wouldn't have events on the weekends. I think the training is always on leading up to a weekend event is what, and I've never seen any, well, maybe she hasn't had them yet, but there haven't been any people out there training, or very few. And maybe they are now. I just haven't seen it.
Video.
Okay. And if people are there training, they bring a coach. I don't know if, it's not like she's giving lessons. They bring a coach, but that's all. I'm just not sure. Maybe. But my question is just about the traffic, because I just don't see how it could be worse than what it was. And I used to walk it all the time too, and it wasn't a big deal. So that was my only question.
thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Pamela Lamboy. I live at 62 Buggy Whip Trail, and we live right next door to Sue. So I would say that of anyone in this room, we are most impacted by any traffic, trailers, anything like that. So first I want to acknowledge that Sue and Eric are not only our neighbors, but our friends. So my comments are not meant to be personal in nature, but my biggest concern, and I feel that I don't have clarity on it, is, and I can't see her because holes there, but I still don't understand how, like, the renting of the arena and the cross-country track, like, how will that work out? Like, the arena, like, will people come every hour and a half or every 2 hours, and in what increments? Because it's from 9 o'clock till dusk. And so what I'm just thinking is 365 days a year. Does it mean that, I mean, people will love the arena? I mean, you say that they won't like it because it's really cold in the winter, but when it's terribly icy out, people will love being able to ride their horses when they have a dry place to ride. And also it's great to ride in the summer because they're protected from the bugs. So I'm anticipating that will be loved, the arena. So what I'm just wondering is, how does that work? Like, in what time increments? so that we know, because I mean, just the way it's worded, there are so many possibilities that someone could have a, mathematical heyday with it. So that's what I'm wondering about. And so in ending, I want Sue to know that I totally support the boarding of horses. I love horses. So I'm fine with that. I just need more clarity.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm nervous, so bear with me.
Your
My
name
name
and
is
address,
Sue Knight.
please.
Pardon?
Name and address.
My name is Sue Knight. I am from Cheese Factory Road, but my horses live on Lanning Road near Parish. And I was one of the founding members of Bristol Hills Pony Club. And I just wanted to speak a little bit about the equestrian experience in Mendon and how the lack of places that are available to young and older riders now in Mendon has been very sad. And Mary Dalton let it be open to people. I know there were times when we would have through Pony Club, we'd have schoolings there, we'd have testing there, there'd be a lot of people. I don't ever foresee it being that, but I don't know exactly what the application says, so clarity there would probably be helpful. And the neighbor's question about how many people, most people don't ride in the winter, in the really bad months, even if it's an indoor, because the horses are just not fit for that. So likely it's going to be during the better weather that you'll have more people. And if they're only allowed 1 to 3 trailers per group, then it's going to be pretty limited there as well. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Carlos Winston, 90 Lake Pep Road. We are up or downwind of the farm, and it's rather fragrant mornings when you're out there with your coffee. You definitely smell fresh, fragrant country air, and there's only one area that could be coming from. In terms of being on a lane path, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the road or not, but it's on a glacial ridge. And the driveways for many of the residences are below the road, making getting onto the road difficult at times. If you have people unfamiliar with the area coming up lane path, and especially since it's both narrow and windy, I worry about people towing not only horse trailers, but boats or anything else, given the topology of the road. My husband and I, are concerned more about the people who are enjoying the road, being able to walk, bicycle, jog, without fear of having to worry about where you're going to run off to if somebody goes wide, with a trailer. So I think that's our biggest concern is the safety of the pedestrians on the road. It is residential. You have families, you have kids on bicycles, they're small kids. So just a thought, especially when you have people unfamiliar with the area coming in. So thank you. And I've got a letter, I'm not sure who to give this to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll leave the public hearing open. Michelle, do you have any responses you want to make now? What's the? Hold on.
Just a question, do I have to announce who I am?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You know you love to.
She mentioned agricultural, we are zoned agricultural, I mean, would you have a cow barn there? You know, what kind of a farm are we talking? I was an interior decorator in my former years, and I was told I could not have a business in my house. Are we zoned commercial? And we didn't know it? We couldn't hang clothing on the line 53 years ago when we moved in. There were all kinds of laws. I'm on 76 Lang Path.
You can't get to Buggy Whip without going on
You
land.
have to go through our
I'm
street
aware of that.
to to get there. There's so many little babies up there now. It's not even, you can't count them. It's just sad. But anyway, I was just concerned about it being commercial. Why, it's a beautiful place, beautiful homes, and then we've got a commercial operation that Route 64, fine, you know. Besides that, my son, I wrote you a letter to, someone said bring the letter, and my son is the next door neighbor, but if he was here, he'd probably have a heart attack, because their dog attacked him. They got a really bad dog on top of everything else. Thank you, here's my letter.
Thank you. One more? Thank everyone for their comments. We will take everything into consideration.
May I just inquire, is
Sure.
public comment going to be held open?
Yes, the public hearing will be open. There'll be a public comment also at the end of this meeting. Ms. Shaw, want to make any comments to the folks there?
Yes, I would like to clarify a few things if I may. Let's see. I am curious about a few of these allegations that have been made. Many of them off the subject. I would like to talk to those neighbors at some point. I don't feel that my application has been at all dishonest. I'm offended by that comment. But I'm not going to get emotional about this. Again, I am not asking permission to run a large commercial business. I do have one question, one repetitive theme here, and I think this is the problem that people are having is the worry about increased traffic. And as I've also seen a couple comments about the danger of these trucks that bring, the trailers that bring the horses in. I would like to know what evidence anyone has to say that a horse trailer is any more dangerous than a UPS truck or a FedEx box truck that are louder, that make frequent stops and visits to Buggy Whip. Those trucks are on my street every single day. And sadly, one last year backed out of my neighbor's driveway into my driveway to make a turn and hit my dog and killed it. Didn't kill it immediately, but I had the help of a neighbor who was a veterinarian to put her down. So why is it that the trailers seem so much more dangerous? And I'd like to know what evidence anybody has that they're a dangerous vehicle. Responsible horse owners that I know that have trailers don't drive fast. They are not reckless. They have a live animal in the back of their trailer. They're careful, they're thoughtful, they drive safely. And also, these trucks, I did a little research today. UPS trucks and such are weigh between 10 and 14,000 pounds as compared to a trailer with a truck, 8 to 10,000 pounds. I mean, and the amount of traffic, I also disagree that it is a quiet neighborhood. It is not a quiet neighborhood. We have trucks multiple truck owners on our street that go too fast up and down the road to imply that this is a quiet little neighborhood and it's always been, I totally disagree with that. That is not the case. And I'm more than happy to go into more detail here if it like.
There's no need to at this time. I was established, you had mentioned a clinic. The
Yes.
clinic you referred to was a clinic elsewhere and people coming to your location to train for that clinic elsewhere.
That is exactly what
correct?
I would like to have happen. I would like to have trainers be able to come on the cross-country course to practice and train for events on another location. I said earlier, I will not be having any events. I will not be having any clinics. I will not be giving pony rides. I will not be giving any lessons. I'm not trained to do that. This is simply for the use of the cross-country course as it has been in the past, but with fewer people, and also the indoor arena. The indoor arena will be available if this is passed for any boarders that are on my property. They will have use of that indoor arena and they will use it. They exercise their horses. They need them to be healthy. And I may not have a lot of space for people to come in and use the indoor arena from outside, from the public. So I guess that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm not trying to create some big monstrosity of a business. This isn't a business you make any money with, but I do have a lot of maintenance, a lot of carrying costs, and it would be helpful for me to be able to do this, as well as it would be a pleasure for me to do it.
Thank you. Don, any comments?
I just asked the board if, in the meantime, before this applicant comes back before the board, if there's any specific information the board would like to see presented.
I can think of something that might help. If you are proposing still that you enter from Buggy Whip, a couple things that would help determine the safety of that entrance for me would be if we could have something that details the turning radius of, like, what sort of turns are they making? We could research the turning radius of a horse trailer, but then we could compare that to what kind of turning radii are they trying to negotiate with that Buggy Whip. These things are not labeled on your site drawing. Typically, you do have turning radiuses labeled on a site drawing. So that would be helpful to help us determine if it is a dangerous condition entering from there. The other thing that would help, I think, is, it would be interesting to be able to evaluate the entrance better from Parish Road, possibly. I know you would be incurring some costs to do that. But what would help us understand that better would be, you mentioned there was some steep grading there. If we could see some of the site grading in that area, so we could know, how much width you have to make that entrance. It's a narrow entrance right now, but we aren't able to see the site constraints that create that narrow entrance. Like, what is the reason for that? Why is it so narrow? Is it because the grading just won't work? And I can't determine that because there is no topography on the site drawings that I'm looking at here. So I guess a little bit more information about detailed information about the site itself. You gave us a good overview of where things would be located. The site itself has some logistical concerns for me because so it's two lots, and currently an easement, that occurs between the two so that you could, use both. You've got your parking in the one lot.
Mm-hmm.
The easement, though, is an access easement. So it's not really meant for parking. So I'm not sure how to deal with that. It might be something that you would need a variance for, or I don't know how to deal with that, I guess. That would need to have more study. The other issue is that some of the existing structures, and I'm not sure, what we can do about this, but some of the existing structures are closer to the lot lines than they should be according to our code for boarding horses. So perhaps a variance to allow that would also be necessary.
And if,
Could you identify which structures you're referring
Oh,
to,
number,
please?
on your plan, number 4, I think that's where the stable is. That's where you'd be housing the horses.
That would be where I would what?
That's where you're housing the horses is
That's
on
number 4.
structure.
Yes, that's an existing building. I
I
didn't
know,
build that
that's why it's a
barn.
little tricky. It's existing, but it doesn't, it's non-conforming. Because it's closer than 100 feet to the property line in both directions. So just, I think that what you're doing there is exactly what we would like to see in Mendon, and that you're continuing to do this and not developing it is really an asset, I think. But there, I think, are some things that need to be on record to show that we are thinking this through, because now it's becoming, not private use. And I do want to say, this is RA5 and it's residential agriculture, and you're perfectly fine, in my opinion, doing what you're doing because it is agricultural. And we do have to comply with the Ag and Markets Law, which does define horse boarding as an agricultural use. So those are my things that I just thought I'd like to mention.
Can I address,
Not yet. I'll get back to you later.
any other requests of the board that the applicant can bring back before the board next time the applicant's before the board? Any information, any questions, that the board wants, an explanation on?
I'm sorry.
Can we assume that the feasibility of coming in from Parish Road is understandably an economic issue as much as anything else, given the distance and the work that would be required to make that feasible?
Before we go on with that, again, I think you can ask the question and ask for information to back that up, so that we can assess it. But if she has information now she wants to talk about it, that's fine.
I just was interested in her thoughts.
Yep.
Did you want me to reply?
Please.
Okay. I've already gone down that road with Corey Gates at length, and also BME. And we looked at that, and it would be an exorbitant amount of money for me to spend, and it would be a hardship for me to do it, to repeat what I already have at the other end of the property. And also, I mean, we have neighbors up here who are unhappy, obviously, and then we're going to move it down there and we might have neighbors down there that are unhappy. So, I mean, I don't feel that it's broken the way it is. So why try to fix it? And if we can come to some compromise and some agreements and some, rules and regulations, I'm happy to work with this. I really am. But the back entrance, I've gone down that road already. I can give you the documentation that I already have. The county was involved at one time, and then, we realized that they didn't need to be involved. So I could provide that to you, for your review. Certainly happy to do that.
Thank you.
Had one other thing, and you might already have a way of doing this, but it'd be helpful to see your, how you plan to manage your manure on the site.
Oh, I have a plan. I already have a plan in place.
Oh, all right, that's good. So if we could see that at the next meeting, that would be great.
I think she's provided.
Oh, did you? No, I don't think we have it. So that's just something that's outstanding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, would you like me to comment on it, or did
Oh,
you
I
need it in writing?
I think in writing would be helpful.
Okay.
If you could give it to us next time you come.
Okay.
Ms. Winship, in terms of the distances from property lines, would it be helpful to have those displayed on the maps?
Yes, so I think they are on the site plan. It's very blurry, but it looks like, we've got about 21 feet on one side and 55 feet on the other that adjoins a property line. So we have the existing dimensions, I think. But I think what we need, and like I said, it's an existing structure, so I'm not sure what what there is we could do about that, but it's good to have things on record.
That's a good question.
Can I also suggest that, she be provided the, comments of staff that have been issued and that, she, give us responses to those.
We will send you all the comments from the meeting.
Perfect. Very good.
You can respond.
Okay, wonderful. I'd appreciate that.
And I'm not sure if this is something you have already, but you have a business plan that you kind of are modeling to this prospective business after?
I don't specifically have a business plan because I've been told by my attorney that it was not required. If you would like me to provide you with one, I can do so. But am I correct? That it is not required?
The code doesn't, to my knowledge, and we can confirm this off the cuff, it doesn't appear to require a specific business plan, but it does require different elements of things that we've been talking about, that are enumerated in the code, like parking and other things that we've been talking about.
Okay.
Of course, we need enough information to be able to assess the application.
Yeah.
So to the extent the board feels we don't have that, the board should ask for that information.
And we will need an agreement between the two parcels for ingress, egress, an easement agreement
For parking,
for parking.
unless parking is gonna be somewhere else.
Okay, and will you be enumerating all these things for me? What you need?
Yeah.
Thank
We-
you.
Who will?
So I can send you an email with,
Okay.
a list of these items from the chair.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No other comments?
That's a good question.
Well, hold on a minute. The board, what is the board's plan in terms of, I guess, how long does the applicant need to respond and get things together? Are we expecting things for the mid-July meeting? Are we expecting things for August?
Mid-July, I would say.
Maybe we should let the applicant
Right,
tell us whether
whatever,
you can get it
whatever
together.
she needs time, I think.
I'm not sure that's enough time. I mean, we're already at the 1st of July, and if this looks like a tremendous amount of material. So if I could wait till August, I would appreciate that.
Okay, fine.
So I think probably what will happen is the town will wait until it gets some sort of submission, supplementary submission from the applicant. And then at that time, the application will be back on the agenda. Applicant is telling us it's probably not gonna happen for July, so maybe August, maybe later, we don't know.
Okay.
I will say that we did receive 3 new applications today, planning board applications, so we're gonna, I know 2 of them want to be on the same meeting in August, so I don't know how many applications we'll have on each meeting. But that's something that we should take into consideration too, about how many applications we want for August meetings.
Okay. Since the public hearing is still open, somebody have another comment?
Question, I just wonder if you could explain what the process is. Going so we have another meeting, is there public notification again to the relevant parties? Will it be
Hold on.
posted?
Do you want to answer that? Because Earl's not in charge of issuing notices.
Generally speaking, I don't know if we're required to post another public legal
Yeah,
notice.
why don't you, I'm sorry, whoever that was, can you come up so we can all hear you and see you and communicate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Susan Tribby from 26 Buggy Whip
Yeah.
again.
Go ahead and tell
I
us
just
what you're
wanted to
reporting.
know what the process was, so more information will be submitted. Will that be shared with the relevant parties again? Will there be notice provided to adjoining properties? Is it posted? Like, how does that all happen? I'm not familiar with all of what all you do.
I don't know if journalists are we.
If I.
It is on the website.
It's unequivocally required by any means. On.
So I will
Do you wanna,
certainly.
let's let
posting a legal
staff
notice
post it in there.
for whenever we decide what hearings will be on. I can certainly send out a new legal notice. It'll be the Sentinel. It's posted at our town hall as well. And it'll be on our town website.
And then we can come here and see the submitted materials.
Yeah, even so, stop down to the building department office for review the material that was submitted.
Okay, great.
Okay, so just to be clear, I think what we're talking about is there will be issuance of a public hearing notice. As is typically done, which would be in the
10 days
newspaper,
prior.
the newspaper
Yep.
and posted. Yeah, okay.
I did have just a clarification. Ms. Winship, you asked about turning radius. I'm Larry Stroll. I'm across the street at 45 Buckaroo Trail.
Just, we want to keep order, so once you come up and
Sure. There's Stroll, 45 Buckaroo Trail. There's been multiple occasions where people swung wide coming out of Susan's property, going in, gone over my lawn. I've had to fix it. Eric, her brother, has fixed it with me. I think Eric's fixed them himself. So that's happened plenty of times already. And I guess my last question would be to Susan. You have mentioned all these things that you don't have any plans on doing. You don't have any plans on, doing more than 4 or having clinics or et cetera, et cetera. If you do any of those, would you relinquish your permit?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Would I relinquish?
Your permit, if you did all those things where you said you don't have any plans to do them?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right.
You
yeah,
have my word.
typically, board would build conditions into any permit issuance that may deal with things like that, the limitations of the special use permit.
Close. Close public hearing.
Well, you're adjourning it until,
Okay.
yeah, until the next hearings.
Public hearing is adjourned for now.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Ball rolling?
Yes, sure.
We make a motion for- I think we're done with discussion. Sounds like we're gonna be busy this next month.
Yeah. I have nothing.
Adjourn meeting. I'll make a motion.
I don't know. I don't think so. I just might as well ask.
Is there any public comment? No public comment.
Was up on the other seats.
A motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sue, you.